What's up, fellow benchwarmers? Welcome to your daily fantasy quickie. Hey guys, what is up? It's me, JJT, with the Fantasy Benchwarmers, and with us, of course, Komish is here. It's Judgment Day Week 18. I'm not sure, by tomorrow, lots of teams will be starting their playoffs, so I hope you guys made it. Komish, how was the week? Was it a good week?
Mixed bag, I guess, because I do have one Dame, but I also was against Dame in some league, in another league where I was really trying to catch up to make the playoffs. So I lost 3-6 because of Dame. Not only was the 71 points, 13 3-pointers, the field goal was good, the free throws. I lost the field goal and free throws. From 5-4 win, I lost 3-6. And I had Jokic today.
Who
that was
also great today. 40
was
points,
also great. Yeah.
17 rebounds, 10 assists, another triple-double. He had just one turnover and I think a few steals. Dame, we just talked about Dame the other day. Could be, we were thinking if he would be load managed. Apparently, they talked about it. They said that, Chauncey Billups said that, they probably won't really load manage him.
I hope that he is true to his word. The past 8 games of Dame, 44 points, 6.5 rebounds, 7.8 assists, 51% field goal. I mean, the stats are just unbelievable, out of this world stats. And the past 8 games. So I hope they don't rest him or manage him.
Now this probably kills our face off a few weeks ago about Dame and Steph for the rest of the season.
Yeah. It's Dame. I mean, unless they would give him occasional rests here and there, then maybe Steph can make it closer. But I feel like Steph will also get some rests, even if they're fighting for the play-in tournament. I'm not too sure he's gonna play all the back-to-backs when he comes back. So I think it's Dame. This season is really Dame's redemption season. Which which during the drafts we kind of called it. We knew it was.
We kind of knew because he was he was still picked in the first round despite the bad showing last season, or not really a showing because he was injured last season. But he was still being picked, not really high, but just where he was usually picked, right? A little low. He was picked at the 10, 12. He usually picked at the 8, 9.
It's irritating. I had him last season and Julius Randle. I had them last season and and they were really bad. And this season, I only have one Dame. I know no Julius Randle. And these two players are going crazy this season. Just can't time it properly with these guys.
Yeah, and we mentioned Steph here. Don't you feel that Steph has been regressing a bit fantasy-wise?
I mean, for the past few seasons, we've talked about it.
He's still being picked, top 5, 6, still up there.
I think he is a top 5, top 6 player if he doesn't get injured. He was a top 5 or 6 player.
Let's put
he got injured.
Should we put Steph there in the injury prone list of players?
Yes. And I'll put LeBron there also because you have to consider
LeBron's old, really old.
Well, Steph is old. Steph is not young also. It's not really old, but still old. I mean, how old is Steph? 30, 33, 34?
How old is Dame?
Well, I'm not too sure with Dame, but I think Dame is younger than Steph.
Not too far off, right? Not too far off.
Not too sure, but we'll check that out. But 2 to 3 years is a big difference. Plus the fact that Steph, the wear and tear, and how many finals appearances did Steph have? I mean, it's not
the mileage is there.
the mileage is very important to consider. KD, the mileage in KD, the mileage of Steph. Steph has a bigger mileage than all of those players. KD, Dame, maybe except LeBron.
Yeah.
So
do you think um by next year Dame's gonna be picked a little higher than Steph at this point, or it's still would Steph still be the fantasy favorite?
no,
I know this is still a
after
long way from from this season because there's still a lot of things, but
they'll
it's
be
just
close.
hard to it's just hard not to compare them.
They'll be close, but I would predict that, of course, Jokic and Embiid, I think SGA has already jumped past them. Tatum has jumped past them. So I think when you get to
but
because it's different this year, when you have so little sure shot players, at the fourth, fifth, sixth pick, you go with Steph because you were worried about Dame and everything.
yeah,
But next season, when Steph falls down and you have some more players coming up like SGA, Tatum, they go up. Steph and Dame are already in the
you
maybe
think
9.
SGA moves up
Yeah,
higher than Steph
he will. He will. Yes, he is. He will. He will be higher than Steph.
in the
He will,
drafts?
in the drafts. He will be higher than Steph. I'll be surprised if you pick Steph higher than SGA.
No,
Given where they are right now. Even I'm gonna tell you that Yahoo ADP will have SGA higher than Steph next year, next season,
yeah,
next draft.
I'm surprised by that because I just feel like yeah, SGA has made a big leap, but he's probably going to be drafted closer to the mid to late first round.
No,
I don't think
no,
Steph would fall to that, uh, especially
he will.
if they don't go in the championship this year or they don't go too far in the playoffs. Which, from the looks of it, they might not go there.
Steph's injuries for me is not really about at this point, not about being tired or being whatever. He has a lot of weird injuries, some unfortunate injuries. So yeah, I just think that at this point in their careers, Steph is more of the outside the top 5, outside the top 7 even at this point in their careers. So I think Dame will be in contention to be picked
Move
higher
up.
than Steph.
Yeah.
But SGA definitely top 5. Definitely top 5 next year, considering there's no more tanking risk. Now your only risk is injuries. And given all the injuries that have happened to Giannis, even to Luka, I mean, everybody has the same risk at this point.
Yeah.
Except maybe Jokic. Jokic's been very durable, but even Jokic has some problems, no? Even Jokic has some injury problems. So everybody has the same risk. The problem here is tanking. And with OKC at next season's point, I think they'll be ready to at least really contend already. It's been too long. They won't be tanking until next. It's been too long. At even this season, they're already showing signs of contending. No?
I just can't. I don't think. For me, I think I disagree that. Yes, SGA might be the better fantasy player at this point, but in the drafts, I don't think he will go higher than Steph. I think in most drafts, Steph will still go higher, especially if Steph ends the season healthy. No injuries this season after this season. I think he'll go a little lower than Steph, but I think
No.
Steph would still be the favorite there.
I'll just point this out to you.
They'll have
Let's say
Chet next year.
Doesn't matter. If Steph is 100% healthy and SGA is 100% healthy, who's performing better? It's been SGA by a mile, because people talk about the lack of 3-pointers maybe, but outside of 3-pointers, everything is SGA.
Yeah,
steals, blocks, everything is SGA. So there's no way Steph will be picked higher than SGA, except if it's a Steph fan like our friend, Grant. He will probably pick Steph ahead of SGA. But
no, I still think a lot of managers will still do. But I'll throw out a name as well. It's been really hot the past few games. Kawhi Leonard. Last I checked, top 15.
Yeah.
I think for the past month, he was even top one in the last week or so. He's been playing well, and the question for me is, do you think load management is behind him at this point?
No, it will never be behind him.
But
It's
do you
good. It's
think they'll
healthy.
play him more now, moving forward? It's
Yeah,
not like he won't
he
be as
played.
irritating as he was early in the
He
season.
played 3 overtime periods the past week. Week 18, he played
Yeah,
3 overtime periods. So he played 46 minutes. It's past him at this point. But past him this season at this state, this current state of his body, he doesn't have any injuries. But it doesn't mean that he will not have an injury. The season is
but
not
yeah, but
over.
I know, but
So
that's true for everyone.
no, no, no. When Kawhi gets an injury, just even a hamstring injury or whatever, they'll load manage him. That's the difference. That's the difference. There are players who will get an hamstring or whatever injury, but teams will be cautious, but they won't, baby him like they will with Kawhi. My point is, Kawhi is healthy right now. They're gonna play him, but when something comes up, even a slight thing that comes up, they'll go back to the load management thing. We don't know when that will happen. It might not be this season. It could be next season. So let's see, because this season still have 6 weeks. No, they still will go to the playoffs. So there will be a long 2 to 3 months still for Kawhi. So he's
Yeah,
not out of the woods. Not out of the woods.
yeah, but I
In
think
terms of that.
SGA, Kawhi, those two players have been strong wildcard players for a lot of fantasy teams this
Yeah.
year. I mean,
Yeah.
SGA early season actually has
JJJ.
been consistently good throughout the season. I think Kawhi was irritating early this season, but if you were able to survive that, if you were maybe able to buy low on Kawhi early in the season, it must be paying off the past few
This
weeks. And it's just not 1 week, 2 weeks. It's been a month or so. That's 4 fantasy weeks already.
more than
Um,
more than I think it's been
yeah,
more
it's
than
been
that. It's
good
been
for
more
more
than
than
that.
that.
This season, more than any other season, the injury gambles, the injured players during the draft really played a big is playing they're playing a big role into what's happening this season, because we didn't even talk about Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
SGA
But
and
I think
Kawhi.
the impact, though, yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. played well, but I think the impact is because Jaren Jackson's stat set is more of, there's like elite in blocks, maybe some scoring, but nothing much, right?
Well, that's before.
SGA,
No.
unlike
Just,
SGA and Kawhi, they're more,
yeah, but you
you
have to
can
remember
see more of their stat set.
where you picked JJJ.
Yeah, true.
JJJ was picked 120 at above, past 120. So that is the impact for me. The impact of JJJ is
True.
almost the same as SGA. Almost the same. Plus, JJJ's development this season is not just that he's performing like before. He's performing even better. He added steals. He
Yeah,
added more
he
rebounds
had more steals.
and more points. So I think those
The rebounds could
JJ
be a result of Steven Adams out.
even before Adams is averaging more compared to his career. But JJJ, SGA, Kawhi, as you said, even Clay.
Yeah,
Uh,
Clay is another
Clay
player.
today what 6 3 pointers, 32 points. These players are players that me personally I never even considered drafting because I'm not that a
Maybe
gambler kind of.
JJJ, right? JJJ
Well, it
probably have
never
considered.
reached my never. I only have one JJJ and that was in the Roto League. I never reached a point where I was confident in picking him because we were talking during the draft that I think JJJ will be ready only by January or
Yeah,
maybe even February.
yeah,
But
true.
obviously not what
We never
happened.
really anticipated.
We never
It,
anticipated it. We made that's a miscalculation. Plus the fact that I really don't pick injured players during drafts, and that has come back to bite me this season because I have none. I really have none. No SGAs. I have no JJJs. I
well,
have no Kawhi.
that
No
will
Clay.
only that will only haunt you if you are out
Well,
Or you're not performing well, right? But if you're
I think
performing well, I think it should be
no. I have
okay.
a lot of teams that are struggling. I have 4 teams, and looking back, I know the things that I made. I made a mistake on. I mean, I gambled on certain players who were not injured during the draft, but who are injured now, like Zion, for instance. I mean, what's oh,
Yeah,
that's a mistake. I mean, you can't look at the player injury status at that time, because when the season starts or whatever, they might be healthy, and then the player you pick might be injured. So you
yeah.
just really have to see the value that you can get when you pick a player at a certain position. The value of that player at that spot.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, there are just some players who are more injury prone, and until they prove to us otherwise, it's really going to be hard to draft them. Zion is a one case. Uh,
Zion is
and we've always brought up the Joel Embiid example. He was very injury prone. The reputation has been very injury prone until last year, where he played majority of the games. Anthony Davis is known as an injury, you know, prone player even until now. But if he, finishes this season, I think it's going to be a successful season for Anthony Davis owners. If he finishes, all the games, he plays all the remaining games left, right?
with AD. Just to add the point, I think the timing also is a problem sometimes with AD. This season, the injury came a little earlier. He was able to come back a little earlier also. So you to your point, you will say it's a successful season. But if the injury like 3 to 4 weeks out happened now,
Yeah,
then managers will, because last year it happened at this time. He
yeah.
was okay
But
all the way until
no, no. The thing
near the
about
playoffs.
last year, he was bad last year. He
Were
wasn't
yeah,
good
that
last
is the
year.
word.
He was
That is
bad
the word.
last year.
Because of the shoulder, I think he could, his free throws
Yeah,
were bad. You know,
yeah.
his free throws were bad. So
So
that was a
that's more
problem.
annoying, right? We fantasy managers will be more forgiving this year because he was great early in the season. He was really good. Top five, top three, he was
Yeah,
there, right? So they were more forgiving this season. But again, injuries wouldn't. At least if he finishes the end of the year, I think he'll, at least somehow put put a little, set. We can set that injury prone tag. Although I think the reputation will
he's
still
still
be there.
injury prone. He's still injury prone. Even if he finishes this season without any more injury problems, he's still injury prone. But he's not in the list of do not draft. At least, I mean,
Yeah.
we have to at least consider certain tiers with players who are in the do not draft list. I think Zion is the only guy right now in my head who probably really, really will not gamble on. But the others, it really depends. No, because by the time the drafts come, we have to see what
Who's healthy, who's injured,
like
who's
Dame. The situation with Dame was he got his surgery, so he's healthy. So that's different, it became different, So there would be different scenarios. We have to wait and see what new thing happened to that player during the off season.
yeah. So anyway, that's for next year. Go moving back to this year. LeBron, speaking of injuries, LeBron, I don't know. I just saw some tweet that he heard something pop, but he played through it. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad
He,
thing.
he left the arena not in crutches or no walking boot, no anything, but he was limping. I
And
don't
it
know. I
might
also
be
don't
safe to say that he'll probably miss a couple of games. I think he
bigger
will.
bigger chance he will, but I don't think it's 100% he will. But yeah, there's a big chance that he will miss some games. But they're saying that he's fine. That they're just gonna monitor it tomorrow. Well, I don't know if it's morning right now in the US, but they're gonna monitor it, see how it responds to treatment. They're gonna treat it nonstop. Well, if you're LeBron, if they'll just concentrate on him nonstop right now and try
Yeah.
to get him to play, because they have a 4 game set, as you mentioned in our
Yeah.
schedule, that they need to win, because
Yeah.
these are the teams
This
they're.
was a big win. The
Yeah, this
Dallas.
was a big win, but the 4 games coming up, I think they have Minnesota, they have
They have New
OKC,
Orleans.
New Orleans. These are the teams ahead of them. So
Yeah, and they
yeah,
are
Golden
like
State
a game
and
and a
Golden
half.
State.
They
Yeah,
have a
all four teams are just ahead of them. I think
yeah.
11, 10, 9. So if they sweep that,
I
uh,
think they also have Memphis, which is way above already. But I think
but
New
yeah,
Orleans would be crucial because they're a game and a half away, and New Orleans I think is currently 10th, if I'm not mistaken. I checked the standings
yeah,
a while ago. So that's going to be crucial. Minnesota's probably going to be crucial, although Minnesota I think is higher in the standings, right? I think there's seventh, eighth, or maybe sixth. I
the
think.
Warriors game is also very important because they're very near. I think they're just a game away from the Warriors at this point.
Yeah.
A game or two from Golden State. So maybe they're gonna really try to let him play. As I said, it's very eerily similar to Kobe's Achilles injury season. But let's see. Let's hope they're more careful this time with LeBron.
Well, let's hope LeBron becomes more careful because we are entering the final the tail end of the fantasy season, and
Yeah.
this is when if you made it to the finals or you made it to the playoffs, this is where you need LeBron in the playoffs. Any tips, playoff tips, um for those starting their
Survive.
playoffs tomorrow? What's your tip?
Ah, try to survive. But it's really just survival. At this point, it doesn't matter. For me, like example, no, I have a team where I'm really, really elite in rebounds and assists. Now, really elite. Like this week, I had I think 240 rebounds and 140 assists. I mean, when you look at that, you're like happy and not happy because it's just too much. And when it playoff time comes, it doesn't matter anymore. No,
Yeah.
those rebounds and assists doesn't matter. So maybe my tip is if you see that kind of a stat, is try to lessen them and try to go for the other categories because now it comes down to five.
Yeah.
Just boils down to five. Doesn't matter if you go 7-2, 8-1, 9-0, 5-4, 5-3. It just just need five. So just concentrate on the five. And it has helped me in the FBI World Cup thing.
How's that? You're in the
Uh, I'm
finals?
I'm in the quarters because it's a final 12. So
Oh
I
yeah, yeah. You start next week, right? This week.
this week we started for week 18, so 2 weeks.
All right.
So I survived week 18, so going to week 19, we're now in the quarterfinals. I survived that, but I don't know how. I lost Anthony Simons. I lost Yanis,
No
and
more drafts, right? After this.
no more drafts. No more drafts. I lost two players. Actually, I also lost Zubac. Zubac was also another player. So the way I did it, I just concentrated on five stats and I added the Carusos because we're very close in steals and blocks. So that was just what I was thinking. I was not
Yeah.
expecting anything else, but I picked up Alvarado for 1 or 2 games. I picked up Caruso. I just picked up all those players. I picked up Tyball. I picked up all those players with steals, with blocks, and low turnovers. So I got those three categories. Luckily, I just got through, but I'll be very, very in a big disadvantage going forward without Simons and Yanis. But happy just to survive, as I said,
Yeah, I
to get
mean,
on.
5 categories. That's why we've been always preaching about the percentages, how
Yeah,
important, valuable they are, because that's already 2 categories if you're elite in those two. And then you try to don't go too far on the lucky stats that we call it. Lucky categories, the steals
unless
and the blocks. That's where luck comes into play. A lot of luck comes into play.
well, yes, that's true. Unless you really need it, like I
That
did.
that's why players like Tyball might not be valuable during the regular fantasy season, but they become really valuable when it comes to the playoffs because giving you 2, 3 steals a game would pretty much he can win you
Just
that category alone.
another example is in the uh Pete Pistol Pete League.
Yeah,
I lost 1-7. I was 4-5 down coming into today. So I was confident about it. And then my opponent, the number one seed, picked up Naz Reid at the last minute because he saw Gobert was out. And Nasrid had 5 steals and 2 blocks and had, I think,
See?
30 points. And he beat me in steals because of the 5 steals. He beat me in points because of the 30 points. Actually, he got 3 categories out of Nasrid. And we were talking about it in our GC, in our
Yeah.
messenger. And he said Nasrid basically gave him.
The
I said
win.
Nasrid, not just the win. I mean, it was 7-1 from 5-4. So that
Yeah.
was just like 3 points. And I dropped out of the top 8. And I said Nasrid basically eliminated me. But
Yeah.
I was not able to catch that news because I think it came early
Yeah,
in the
it
morning.
was difficult, right? It was difficult because I
Yeah.
think the Minnesota game was a little later, right? They
Yeah.
were right, not too early, not too late as well.
Yeah.
So they were around, I think, the 8 a.m. game or something. So it was hard to catch that.
So
But yeah, if you were able to, but like we said, the steals, 5 steals. You see, imagine
5 steals.
Nasri getting 5 steals. How lucky can you get? Right?
Yeah.
If you get that,
But
that's
but
why
but
we call them the lucky stats.
but that helps if you have extra move for the judgment day. That's
Yeah,
another tip. I think you have to really keep an extra move. Try to keep
yeah.
your categories close, the matchup close. A little extra move for the last 2 days or
At
so.
least one extra move.
Just so that you have some flexibility for
Yeah,
last minute Hail Mary, like
we've
Nasrid.
no. I mean, we've already said it even before, right? You might be looking at the wrong category, right? You
Yeah.
might be adding players who you think can give you this category, and then suddenly on the last day, on Judgment Day, you realize that you need steals, which you were not looking because you were thinking, I'm probably gonna do steals because I don't have great steals guys, and then suddenly some of your guys, contributed one each, right? And then towards Judgment Day, you realize that I need steals, but you don't have a move anymore. So that means that would, be a disadvantage to
And
you.
things happen. Like, yeah, my team in the FBI World Cup had Yanis, and I think Jeremy knows that I was punting free throws in that for that team.
Yeah,
But Yanis, I ended up winning the free throws
because Giannis
in
wasn't playing.
18 because Yanis was out. So when Yanis was out, I said, okay, this is possible because when Yanis played a couple of games because this is the long 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
he played the first few games and I was like 72% free throw and my opponent was 78, 79. So I said, okay, just as I planned. But when Yanis stopped playing, my free throws started to go up to the level of 76, 77%, and my opponent went down to 78. So it became close. And in the end, I won by a little, by point something in free
yeah.
throws. So, you never know. You never know
You
because Yanis
never
is a
know.
good
You
team to
never
have.
know. In the playoffs, we've been playing this for quite a while. We've seen crazy things happen. Even in categories you feel that you are weak at throughout the season, you might win that in the playoffs. Matchups also matter. There could be matchups wherein even if you're weak
Yeah.
in maybe rebounds, but your opponent is weaker in rebounds, then you have to assess that as well. That's why you need a move, at least one move, save at least one move to give yourself a fighting chance towards the end, just in case some category surprises you. A category that might have been you didn't think was close but ended up being really close, like one or two or tied at the end. At least you get a chance to pick a player who can contribute in that category.
And check the schedules.
Yeah.
Judgment Day last week was 10 games, 9 games today, week 18. Week 19 is 10 games. So that's big. When there are Judgment Days that are just 4 games, you really have, I think, to be ahead already in some categories. But with Judgment Days that are heavy schedule, heavy load, there's still a chance. Any category. My opponent in another FPW league had 33 steals today. I was up
Today
by what?
alone.
Today alone, he had 30 something. I was up, I think, 17 steals. So
Who are those?
he had Donovan, he had Russell Westbrook, 5 steals each. I think he had a couple of players with 3 steals. Everybody had like a lot of steals, and so I was shocked. I ended up losing, I think, by 10 steals or something, and I was up the whole week in steals. So if there's a lot of games at the end, there's still a chance to come back. Better chance to come back.
Yeah. And also we posted the schedule analysis that we had, and we talked about that. Don't let yourself get too far behind in the early part of the week, because there are lesser games in the early part of the week until Friday. I think there are lesser games because there are two quality game days starting tomorrow. Starting on the first day of week 19, there's just four games. So don't get too far behind. You have to really check on the schedule of your opponents to see, because your opponents might have uh 6, 7 players playing tomorrow, and you might have just two or three,
But I'm
right?
just gonna say week 20 is gonna be something else. There are 5 teams with 2 games. So and that's the start of the playoffs. So that's
Well,
gonna be
that's
in
the
the
start of the FBW playoffs, and that's what
yeah.
everyone's been preparing the playoff schedule. So I think that's a better spread of more teams having two games, because that gives more chances that your
I
opponent would also have players with two games than
there were
having two teams. Like this week, there are only
well
two teams, right?
there were managers who didn't want week 20 to be the start because of that reason. No, there's so many teams in 2 games, and they just feel like it might be
Two
disadvantage for
disadvantage.
yeah.
But I think there are
Well,
more players with two games. That just means there are more players with two games.
yes, but if in a 1-8 matchup, let's say, and you're strong, and you have, I mean, the Clippers, for instance, and you have Kawhi or whatever, it just can hurt you. No,
Well, if
there
you
will be
have
bigger chance also with multiple 2 game players. There's also a bigger chance, but that's how it is. You just have to adjust.
yeah,
Better to know
I
early.
mean,
Better to
i-
know early.
if you are top in your league right now and you have Jokic this week, and it's your
Well,
playoffs. I mean, I know it's Jokic. He can probably give you a stat for 3 games, even if he plays 2 games, right?
yeah.
But still, right? There are lesser players who's gonna have 2 games, right? So if you're the eighth seed and the first seed has Jokic, you really have a good chance. Like this week, I am fighting for a playoff spot. I'm seventh currently. I just moved up from 12 to 7 in the past few weeks. My players are playing well. And then now I'm against the top seed who has Jokic. So I have a chance to retain that seventh seed just because of that, I feel. So,
Yeah.
so I
Again,
think,
that's how it is. That's just how the schedule goes. You have to
you have to
play it.
prepare, and you have to maybe look into the schedule, like Commission. Look into the
And
schedule
not
of
just a
your opponent.
schedule. Also,
I
probably
mean,
if
the
matchups,
the
matchups
matchups, the
also.
players,
The
right?
matchups, the remaining like week 19, who's your matchup? No, week 20 will not know because it's a playoffs already. But if your league is week 21 or week 22, so you still have 2 weeks, week 19 and week 20. Maybe check your matchups. You're fighting for the playoffs, who you'll be against, and who the teams you're chasing would be against. No, that's also very important to monitor.
Yeah.
Monitor.
Yeah. So the playoffs, it's a different game. So we'll talk more about this in the next few quickies, I guess, throughout the week and throughout the next few weeks, because FBW League starts their playoffs next week. So we'll probably talk more about that, and we'll probably post who won the season long. I mean, the regular season, because we have prize money for the regular season as well. So we'll post that, announce that some leagues have already established who the uh, number one seeds are, because there are some leagues who are, the number one seed is like what, 5, 6, 7 games away from the next one. So it's going to be so it's been determined a few weeks ago even. But yeah, like I said, schedule is already up, schedule analysis already up. Hope you enjoyed this quickie. Follow us, subscribe, and see you guys again tomorrow for the daily fantasy quickie. Bye guys.